What up, y'all? It's your boy Who's 274 back with another One Piece chapter. We left off last week with chapter 1164. We're gonna continue off today with 1165. But we left off at Garp and Rogers were both teaming up, with standing side by side to get ready to face Rocks after they heard him begging to take his life through the voice of all things. Cause he couldn't talk himself because he don't meet Reversi, but they hear his conscience talking to him, talking to them. They hear his conscience crying out. So we left off with them releasing a giant hockey blast to get Domi Reversi Rock's attention set on them versus everybody else on the island, and they're preparing to fight. Um, Last chapter before we seen that, we seen Rocks assumingly killed. To him, he killed his wife and child. He don't know that Kuma saved him. To him, he killed his wife, his child, and Kuma, which is why he under so much distress right now and begging to be killed. He crying to the extent that he wants to be killed because he thinks he killed his family. I don't think he would be crying asking for death. He probably would be asking them to kill him still, but I don't think he'll be crying if he wasn't under the impression that he killed his family. But we're gonna get into this chapter this week. I'm so glad we had no breaks. Hopefully we don't get a break next week. This God's Valley flashback, this God's Valley portion of the flashback should be wrapping up. And I say that because that doesn't mean the flashback as a whole is over. No, we're gonna go back to the fucking the Herald slash Loki flashback, which was what this supposed to been all about in the first place. So we're gonna get back into that. But this God's Valley portion of the flashback is about to end. We're definitely not gonna smoke this whole blunt. I got a motherfucking wisdom tooth growing, and the wisdom tooth got a fucking cavity on it. So we're not gonna smoke this whole thing, okay? The moment my shit start hurting worse, I'm putting that shit out. All right, so let's get started. This week, this chapter is called Echo, and we have a cover spread this week. Request by Machi and Takishi. Beppo peacefully sleeping using Zeus as a pillow. That was the request, and it looks like they added Lawin and another dumbass fan request. I hate fan requests, bro. Y'all ask for dumb shit all the time. The One Piece fan base, the ones that be getting these requests approved, has no fucking vision, bro. No fucking vision. Beppo peacefully sleeping on Zeus. Y'all got no vision, bro. Y'all be wasting our time. We could get some amazing ass cover spreads, cover art. Y'all want to do this shit. Why don't nobody ever request, goddamn it, Nami, Bonnie, and Nico Robin at the beach? You feel me? You feel me? Or something like that. That'd be better. You feel me? The women character on the beach in swimsuits. That'd be better. Instead, I got a fucking bear sleeping on a fucking cloud. I mean, that'd be stupid also, but at least it'd be more of a, you feel me, something to look at than a fucking bear sleeping on a fucking cloud. And it looked like they both laying on top of a giant fucking sheep. Y'all be wasting fucking time. Oda, stop drawing this dumb shit. Give me another fucking cover story for this shit. All right, so moving on. We pick up where we left off. Rock's crying, asking them to kill him. Let's flame up, bitches. Once we get past this hole, we Gucci. Hit blunt. Shut the fuck up. They still hit. hmm hmm I just gotta put my finger on that bitch. You see it's escaping. I'll put my finger on that bitch. You get go ahead, hit that bitch. Yup. All right. So we see Rocks right where we left him, crying, asking to be taken down. He's saying please, and Garp is looking at Rogers like, you hear that too, right? And Rogers saying yeah as he cocks his sword back, and you see the Conqueror hockey lightning coming from it because as he's cocking his sword back, you see Rocks leaping at him. Also, with Conqueror hockey beaming from his sword. As Rocks swings, we see dialogue coming from Rogers saying his words, the way he's acting, that look on his face. And then they counter his attack saying none of this adds up. I mean, duh, you dumb fucks. Y'all just seen him get impaled by Emu. Y'all just seen the man grow horn, fangs, and fucking and devil wings. Y'all just seen him attack his wife and kids off of another motherfucker's command, and y'all just seen that same motherfucker command him to kill everybody else on the island. Y'all see him with fangs growing from the top and bottom of his mouth, crying, and you hear his voice begging you to kill him. And you gonna say, none of this adds up. His look, his words, the way he's acting, the look on his face. Duh. Come on now. Y'all losing points, folks. Shut the fuck up and fight. Hit blunt. Like, was it a thought in the back of your mind after seeing all that maybe Rocks was still doing that of his own free will? Like, you couldn't read the scene and see that this man had got his will completely dominated and taken over? So as Rogers is blocking the sword clash, and we get a nice little spread panel of that. I'm gonna let y'all see this shit. I'm not in my room, so we can't watch it together. But I'm gonna let y'all see this shit however I can. Oh well. Y'all see that shit? And then as Rogers is blocking the sword strike, we see Garp rock his ass. Rogers blocking the sword strike, Garp rock his ass right in the face with a hockey punch. Big punch from Garp. Hit that man right in this shit. So as Garp hits Rocks in the face, it's like it barely did anything because Rocks kind of takes it. His feet just slides back a little bit because it seems like he's more so planting and stabilizing his feet as to not be pushed back. And then he breaks through Roger's parry, and at the same time breaking through Roger parry, he knocks back Garp as well. And we see what we've been seeing every time he swing his sword from the beginning. Every time this man swing his sword, it's like this giant ass Shinra Tensei effect. So he sends both Garp and Rogers flying with this motherfucking sword swing. And as that happening, we get a look from the outer island as we see the clouds in the sky is splitting. The same way it did, if you remember, when Shanks and Whitebeard had they clash on Whitebeard's ship, the skies was split in the same way. When Shanks tried to warn Whitebeard to tell Ace not to go after to send somebody to go bring Ace back and not send him after Teach. So we got the Marines and the pirates on the outskirts of the island saying the sky is splitting. We've got to get out of here or we're gonna die. And then we see Silver Axe saying, let's steal a ship and get off this island. Somebody in the back says, what about Rock Ship? And then Silver Axe says, dumbass, no one's going back. And then Shiki screams out, the Rock's pirates are history. Hurry to the coast. All right, so that's the dispersal of the Rock's pirates. I guess it just happened in a sleazy, let's get the fuck out of here way. I think a lot of people reading spoilers talking as if like Shiki had some type of authority to just be like, oh, the Rock's pirates are disbanded from now on. And everybody was like, oh well, so sad. That's not what happened. Silver Axe and Shiki was just talking about getting out of here. All they were trying to tell all the other pirates, y'all, we gotta go. And one of the pirates was like, shit, let's just go back to Rock Ship. And Shiki was, and then Silver Axe was like, that ship too far, ain't nobody going back to that ship. And then Shiki was just like, man, fuck that. The Rock's Pirates over. Y'all get the fuck up out of here however y'all can. And everybody just went their separate ways. It was more so of a survival thing versus Cheeky being on some, oh, I'm second in command or I'm the highest in command around. I got the authority to end. No, I want that at all. Hit blunt. All right. So moving on, we see some of the Marines on the coast that saying Vice Admiral Gart, can you repeat that? Garp repeats to them. I guess they talking on the transponder snail. Garp says, I said get every survivor and Marine you can aboard that ship and cast off immediately. And then we see the same thing coming from the Roger pirates. They talking to Roger on the snail as well. Roger, what's going on over there? Roger says, get underway. This instant. He said, get underway this instant. No, he said, get underway the instant Rayleigh's group is aboard. Wait for me at sea. As we see Garp and Rogers both looking beat the fuck up from that one attack they took from Rocks, saying, I'll make it back for sure. They both say the same thing as they're talking to they crew. Garp, you see the difference though. Garp is a hero, bro. He's a Marine. I'm sorry. We can say what we want to say about Garp. I don't know what his motives is for still being with the Marines and letting Ace get slammed out like that, but we just got to find out what his motives is. Because here and now, the difference between Garp and Rogers, who everybody sees as the hero of the story, you feel me, is Garp told his crew, you get y'all asses on there and get any survivors as well. Rogers didn't get no fuck about no survivors, no slaves, no nothing. Rogers says get the crew out of there. The moment Rayleigh get back with Shockey, we gone. Y'all get the fuck on. I'll meet y'all at sea. Garp is the hero in this story, man. Garp is the hero in this story. Not only does Garp care about his crew, just like Rogers, he got the same passion and care for his crew just like Rogers do. But at the same time, Garp got a duty to the people. Rogers don't give a fuck about the people. Luffy don't give no fuck about the people. Luffy only give a fuck about the friends he make on his way. If he just so happen to make friends with people that are slaves, he gonna free them. He gonna want them to be freed. But Luffy don't even free all slaves when he go about doing this thing. Luffy don't give no fuck about people. If it ain't got nothing to do with him and how he feel about you, Luffy don't give no fuck about people. Garp gives a fuck about people. Dragon gives a fuck about people. But all right, we get another nice little panel of Garp and Rogers. Like I said, they're telling their team we make it back for sure. And we get them snatching off their coats and jackets as I guess that's a sign that they finna get serious. See how that look? Hit blunt. I'm gonna put my blunt out for now. I ain't got that much drugs left until I get to the dispensary. And my weed pen don't do it for me like that all the time. All right. So moving forward, we see Garp says, Rocks and Rogers, I came to this island to catch the pair of you, but look how things panned out. And then Rogers says, well, all I wanted was to save Shocky and grab some treasure and bail. And then Rogers says, want to call a temporary truce as they staring down Rock's face that's getting more menacing by the second. And Roger says, I can't say I'm thrilled with the ideal, but we can't just leave him behind. As Rock's then sword thrusts at Garp tried to skewer this little ass, but Garp dodges and says, hey Rocks. He jumps over his head as Rogers flies underneath his legs. Rogers flies underneath Rock's legs and then unleashes a sword slash, hitting Rocks right in the back of the head, sending his head crashing into the mountain. As his head crashes into the mountain, we see Garp grab his foot and says, this form, this curse, we can't undo it somehow. He says we can't undo it somehow. I guess he asking Rogers if they can like maybe undo the curse as he grabs Rock's foot, snatches his head out the mountain, and swings him 360, bashing him right back into the mountain. And as that happens, Rogers jumps up with his sword again, screaming, wake up, as he swings down and hits Rocks again, unleashing a massive Conqueror's Haki explosion. We then cut over to Rayleigh, who's running with Shocky. I don't care for this shit. Hurry, Rogers. Hurry, Rogers won't stop fighting until he's sure we've escaped. It's strange, this Haki. And then we see Gloriosa also running behind Scopper, saying, nice ship, you don't mind if I tag along, right? As he screams, Gloriosa, where the fuck she been? Gloriosa been MIA this whole fucking flashback once we got to God's Valley. We seen her on the ship talking about what she would get out of it if she saved Shocky. We seen her get off the ship when they arrived at God's Valley, and then she just been MIA like the last 4-5 chapters, so. And now all of a sudden she popping back up, running next to Gabon time on some man if I tag along. Then we cut over to Big Mom and Kaido. Big Mom says, you listen to Kaido, consider this a lifelong debt. You'll pay me back one day, mark my word. Kaido says, don't be stupid. You lost fair and square, Lin Lin. Now watch, I'm gonna start a crew where brutality is the only law. Big Mom says, you've grown bold, haven't you? But you will never be able to beat me. As we see somebody saying, Lillian, what are you doing? Load up the treasure and we gotta go. Is that Beji? Beji? Is that Beji or is that his father or some shit? I don't know. That gotta be one of Big Mom husbands. And then Big Mom says, one day I'll come to collect what you owe. Kaido says, I'll crush you when that time comes. And I guess they're leaving the island. We go back to a panel of Rocks, Rogers, and Garp still fighting. We see Rocks bitch smacking both of them into the ground. And then we cut over to Whitebeard, who's just looking off in the distance. I don't care for this. He meets a guy that is Marco's dad. You could tell he's Marco's dad because he looks just like Marco. And he's the captain of his own crew, the Polo Pirates. And he tells Whitebeard he's a big fan and offers Whitebeard to join forces with him. His name is Graham. Whitebeard says, "Buzz off, don't get in my way." But you could clearly see him walking off and that guy going in the same direction. It looked like he fucking flying. Yeah, Marco dad seems to be flying. Only question I got about this is, was Whitebeard a member of Graham's crew and then like kind of like took over when he died? First mate, second mate becomes the new captain, or did Graham just surrender all, you feel me, of his crew over to Whitebeard? That's a good question. Hopefully they flesh that out more, but whatever. So we see more of the Rocks Pirates leaving. I don't care for them. You feel me? We do see Ganzui. It's either Ganzui or this little unnecessary person next to him who has that little ghost thing with the tongue out. One of them got old girl fruit that be with Hawkeye Mihawk. So we got another recycled devil fruit. Stussy checking for for Whitebeard. And then we cut over to a marine ship and we see somebody screaming, "Calm down, Dragon. What do you think you're doing?" And then Dragon says, "Me? What about you? You condone this?" As he's holding a gun to one of the marine captain's head. One of the other soldiers are in the back screaming, "Dragon." And then Dragon says, "Bring those survivors aboard. We're saving them. If anyone's got a problem with that, I'll execute them." And yeah, like that makes sense. Like this Marine guy got the nerve to ask Dragon, "What the hell is wrong with you? What's gotten into you? What do you think you're doing?" When you just sitting there, like literally just roundhouse a bunch of innocent people for some nobles to kill them as a game, and now y'all trying to build a fallen island without saving any civilians, like, but y'all the Navy. So we cut back over to Garp and Rogers. No, we see one of the Marine soldiers says, "This won't end well for you, Dragon." And then Dragon says, "Bring it on." So we cut over to a Marine ship. We say there's somebody saying that island never existed. Is that clear? As we see a Saturn who has the emu eyes and shaded in dark, so we could tell he's being possessed by emu, is on that ship giving them the call to destroy that island. He says the records kept by G11 and CP6 consider the top secret levels consider the top secret level S. Special mission on God's Valley are sparse. The name of this participant of the human hunt The name of the participants of the human hunt were purged. Little record regarding the site of the incident God's Valley. Little is recorded regarding the site of the incident of God's Valley. Information regarding the island's whereabouts, size, population were also purged. The numbers of casualty remain unknown to this day. As we see both pillars on God's Valley have fallen now, we still see Conquerors hockey releasing all over the place because Garp and Rogers are still fighting rocks as this going on. Their fight is the fight that's really destroying this island. Like the clash in between Garp, Rogers, and Rocks at full power is literally destroying this island. We see some dialogue, some huffing and puffing. Did you know the government had ties to that black monster? Seems like a affront to justice. And then somebody says, I'm with you there. Then we see Rogers saying, if you want to leave the Navy, you should join us. And then Garp says, hell no if I quit. Who protect the Marines? Garp still on his back. Rogers stand up. Roger says it's all about the mask, Garp. Roger says the mask. What are you talking about? Roger says armament hockey can normally counter Devil Fruit abilities. I'm using Conqueror's hockey, coding to boot, so there's no way my attacks aren't doing anything. And then Garp says it's cause he's also using Conqueror's hockey to guard himself. It's not a surprise we cancel each other out. If we don't overcome that, the damage won't go through. Okay, so stop. Roger says armament hockey can normally counter Devil Fruit abilities. Does that mean that Roxas attacks has something to do with a Devil Fruit? Or does that mean the Domi Reversi ability is a Devil Fruit ability? They know nothing about Emu up until this point. They just discovered this guy, but they know rocks. They're familiar with rocks. I think it's being confirmed that rocks had a Devil Fruit. Because again, Roger says armament hockey can normally counter Devil Fruit abilities, and I'm using Conqueror hockey coding to boot. So there's no way my attacks aren't doing anything. Rogers tells Garp we'll lose sooner or later if we keep trading blows like this. We simply can't match a monster in a battle of attrition. And then Garp says, so next time we use Conqueror hockey, we should channel all of our mass into it. He says, yeah, don't worry. He says, don't worry about how crippling the aftermath will be. The aftermath will be. If we do that, we probably won't survive this. Roger says, I'll take all three. Either way, it'll take all three of us out of commission. And if we don't land this, it's all over. As we see Garp and Rogers get ready to. We see Garp stand up. They huffing and puffing. They getting ready to do this. Garp says, "Hey, Rocks, I don't know if there's any words that'll comfort you at this point. I don't know. I don't even know what's happened to you. But I do know one thing." He says, "I can feel your frustration." As we see Rocks still crying, bro. This man is suffering. He going through it. Rocks is upset. He frustrated because he know his life over, bro. He can't fight this Domi Reversi. He can't resist it. So he know it's either die or be controlled. And he just know everything he wanted to do in life, fo. I don't even think it just simply got to do with his kids and his family. Like his life is over with, and he's coming to that realization. Like, damn, shorty, like it's one way for me right now. So Rox is crying. As he's doing that, Rogers covers up his face and says, "This is no time for tears, you idiot." Tagosuchi, as Rogers starts up an attack called Kagusuchi, and it is the Shinto god of fire. Yeah, Garp and Rogers, they going through it, seeing the state that Rox is in, bro. Like they feel for him, they feeling his emotions, they hearing his voice. You feel me? That's why they making it their business and dedicating themselves to stopping him, bro. They can't leave him like that. Some fucked up shit. I knew Rox was gonna go down sad. And then as Rogers charges up his attack, Garp gets ready for his attack called Infinitum. Infinitum, where he sends a bunch of it's like a Gatling of his punches. So I mean, he not necessarily going gear third or anything like that, but once he hockeys up his fist, the fist do appear. The shock waves that the fist send, it appears to get bigger. So it's like a Gatling attack. And Rogers Garp attack's full name is called Infinitum Explosion, and Rogers' full attack is called Kagusuchi's Ace. As they both launch off these attacks at Rox, and it definitely connects. I see. It looks like Rogers cut this motherfucker leg off and everything. Like, yeah, Rox is getting sliced and diced and blew the fuck up. Garp punching holes in his ass, and Rogers cutting his ass into pieces. Like they're actually showing this. And it says some dialogue, some narrative dialogue saying the disbanding of the chaotic crew led by Rox Dieselbeck will leave a undeniable echo. The Rox pirates destabilized an entire era, and the tremors of their legacy will continue to shake the world. The world government tried their best to bury this incident in the shadows. However, yeah, they couldn't do it. And that is the end of the chapter. And it says break next week. So we're not going to get a chapter next week, okay? Again, I'm going to say this every video until it happens. But my theory for the end of this, you feel me, is like I said, so far it's playing out. I said Rox and Rogers was going to win. When they win, cause the way that attack fucking rocks up, I know they won. So next chapter we gonna see Garp and Rogers win. We gonna see the Domi Reversi effect fade away from Rox because his life is leaving him anyway. He on the brink of death and maybe could be saved, or maybe would just have a chance to just die peacefully at least. Saint Figgle and Garland gonna get up and slam his ass out in his last moments, or or in his, you feel me, at the time where it's like he could be saved. Saint Figgle and Garland is gonna get up, get his get back, and he gonna slam Rox out in a worse way. That's gonna be the end of Rox. Fucking tooth hurt. But that's how I feel that's gonna happen. I'm still waiting to see maybe Rox is gonna tell Rogers something, cause something has to be said to Rogers. We have to know what sparked Rogers' interest in reselling the seas and going after the poneglyphs. I think this was the first time Rogers discovered that he's able to hear the voice of all things when he heard Rox crying out. I gotta know. Give us the tea, man. What sparked his interest in reselling the sea? What got him interested in the poneglyphs? Where he get the knowledge from? Let us know. But other than that, you feel me? That's all I got for today. I'm not gonna get into any real big theories about what's going on next chapter. Like I said, Rock's gonna come back to us, and Saint Figgle and Garland gonna get up and slam him out. I'm hoping we get some dialogue between Rocks and Rogers, so I can see how he gets interested in reselling the seeds. Other than that, that's it. That's all I'm theorizing. That's all I'm looking forward to. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.